this maybe sounds crazy, but if it was me, I'd turn him heel.
Interesting.
I'd
you know what I'd like to see? I don't know who the opponent would be, but maybe one of the guys that in the LWO that has turned bad, maybe a mask versus hair match.
Let's talk about something else, too, that's really getting interesting. I have speculated before that I thought we'd see a tag team match with Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth, and it does appear we're heading there. Bill, what do you think we're going to end up seeing based on what we've seen just recently, that is, with The Rock announcing he wants 2 nights of wrestling from these guys at WrestleMania?
Well, the first night is going to be Cody and Seth Rollins against The Rock and Roman Reigns. If The Rock and Roman Reigns win, night 2, Cody versus Roman, the rules will be that the entire bloodline can be at ringside and do whatever they want. So my feeling is that, and if not, if Cody and Rollins win, then everything's clear. It'll be one-on-one, which I don't believe anyway. I think they're really, this is a good story, but I think somehow The Rock is going to screw Roman Reigns, because when The Rock bowed down to Roman Reigns and called him his tribal chief, I think that was the end of The Rock in the storyline really wanting to be aligned with Roman instead of against him.
I see. I think it's just a seed being planted for something later. But Teddy, what were your thoughts?
Well, Bill pretty much summed it up. We're still going to have to just wait and see what happens, but I kind of agree with what Bill was saying there, and I think The Rock is doing right if he wants 2 nights of wrestling. That's not a bad idea. That's absolutely great. You know what I mean? That gives that first night and gives that second night, you got something to look forward to. But you also got to remember this: whatever they do at WrestleMania has to go right into SummerSlam. So we just gonna have to wait and see. But I agree with Bill. Pretty much, I see it that way too. If it happens like that.
Yeah, and see, it's funny because they have kind of kept everybody guessing where they're going. Even
That's good.
Because you eat week to week, you think you know it, and then they put a little twist to it,
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be, because the fans shouldn't be able to determine the outcome. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's great.
They're making us guess, and the Paul Heyman and the creative committee are in charge of that whole situation at this point, and they're making this so compelling. I'm dying to see what's going to happen.
Hey, speaking of dying to see what's going to happen, and Paul Heyman, he's been announced for the WWE Hall of Fame. Your thoughts, Bill?
Oh, well, I've known Paul since he was a teenager. He had his own wrestling fan zine. He shot pictures for the company I worked for and other wrestling magazines. I'm on the DVD of his whole story, and I always said that when I was at ringside along with George Napolitano, Frank Amato, and Paul Heyman, we'd all be set up to take a great shot of, let's say, Dusty against Superstar Graham, and here would come those razor-sharp elbows, bam, knocking us out of the way so he could get his picture. But he changed the wrestling business. You can't deny this. His idols were Fred Blassie, the Grand Wizard, Captain Lou Albano. He's got a little of all 3 of them in him on both the creative and verbal end, and he created a new genre, actually, with ECW there. Changed the wrestling fan, changed the wrestling business, and he keeps going on and on with his creativity. Well deserved, and I'm glad it's happening in Philly, where ECW was conceived and born.
And Teddy, he really has evolved much in the business like you have. Because my early memories of Paul Heyman were actually Paul E. Dangerously. And when he was over in WCW and at the time early there with the phone in his hand, I saw him, he progressed over all the years. He learned to change with the times. How important is that in the business, Teddy?
It's really important. If you're not in tune or in time with what's going on, then you ain't going to get over. And ain't nobody going to believe in you, because if you ain't in tune or in time, you might as well forget about it. Since we're talking about Heyman, congratulations to him. I mean, he certainly deserves it. He's done a lot for the wrestling business. I'm kind of like Bill. I've known Paul for so many years. I remember me, Paul, and Kevin Sullivan used to ride together, and Kevin Sullivan's son was named Ben. And what Kevin would do was he'd stop at a store and he'd get Ben like 2 bags of jelly beans, and he'd load him up on sugar. And all Ben did was terrorize Paul all the way through. He'd jump on his neck while he's driving and stuff. Oh, brother.
Man.
Oh, yeah. It was great, man. So Paul has certainly, like I said, done a lot for this business, man, and he certainly deserves it, and congratulations to him.
He's changed it. I mean, that hardcore style of wrestling was always there, but he fine-tuned it.
I've always felt like Paul had a good pulse of where we were in the country and the things that would create a reaction from a fan, more so than a lot of people. You know, some people just have that ingrained in them. They can feel it. They know what should or shouldn't be done at a time, where other people, I think, kind of take a guess. I've always felt like Paul felt and knew what the fans were looking for, and that's why he's been so successful in his career. Speaking of somebody else successful in their career, Rey Mysterio Jr. Back on SmackDown now, which is exciting to see. One of the things I'm wondering, though, where should we see Rey go from here? Where should we see Rey end up? What would you like to see, Bill? I mean, there's got to be something he hasn't done yet that would be cool to see, you know?
Well, you know, he's still going to be aligned with the LWO. So I think they're going to keep him on that level. I don't think they're going to bring him up on a main event level, and maybe somewhere down the line he and Dom will get back together again. Maybe.
Teddy, what do you think?
I just don't know, man. They've done quite a bit with Rey, and you know what I mean? They really got to come up with something, you know what I mean, to try to, you know, get him back out there again. You know, I don't know. This maybe sounds crazy, but if it was me, I'd turn him heel.
Interesting. You know what I'd like to see? I don't know who the opponent would be, but maybe one of the guys that in the LWO that has turned bad, maybe a mask versus hair match. Fans love them, and there's not enough of those.